Shabbat Shalom, dear friends. Shabbat Shalom. Nice to be with you. Finally, the weather is broken. Beautiful outside this week. I hope you've been enjoying and being out there, perhaps taking some walks, or in that Princeton tradition, going on some nice bike rides. We are reading Vayakhel Pekudey. We are concluding the second book of the Torah. We're going to say Chazak v'chazak v'nit chazek. May we be strengthened by concluding the reading. So let me share with you a key verse in this week's Torah portion. Vayara Moshe et kol hamalacha v'nei asu ota kasher tziva Adonai ken asu. And when Moses saw that they had performed all the tasks as the Lord had commanded, so they had done. Vayivarech otam Moshe, and Moses blessed them. So my teacher, Rabbi Eliadorf, asks the question, here is the completion of the Mishkan. And what is it about this, that completing this task sets it up that Moses should bless them? What's the connection between completing the task and the blessing? So Rabbi Dorf goes on to say that one of the key reasons for a blessing is that there is a sense of accomplishment. There is a challenge. We don't know how it will turn out. And at the end of the day, what happens? We complete the task, especially a task like building the Mishkan. They had never built one before. They didn't know how it would turn out. Though even though they went into the unknown, they were able to complete the task. Makes me think about this period of COVID that we are in and how many tasks we have been asked to do that we had never done before, and we didn't know if we would complete them, and we've completed them. Some small things like cleaning out a closet, especially those bigger things like learning a new skill, like learning how to bake and the joy of baking. There have been many things that we have accomplished during this pandemic, and we should understand that because we completed them under sometimes difficult circumstances, that's no small thing. And therefore, that is a blessing. Rabbi Dorf goes on to make a second point and says that it's not only about completing the task that makes us feel a sense of accomplishment and a sense of closure. It's in fact that we've actually completed a task, not accomplished it, but that the task is over. And a sense of over, a sense of closure itself, brings joy. I recently read a study about happiness that said you should begin your days with something that makes you happy. And in the article that I read, it suggested that doing something small like making your bed is a great way to start the day because you have a sense of accomplishment, a sense of closure. You've already done something. You've already checked something off of your list. So here we have in our Torah reading this week, we have this enormous task of building the Mishkan, of building the tabernacle, and it is completed. There's closure. And therefore Moses says, Vayivarech ota Moshe, and Moses blesses them. I wonder if you are one of those who joined me on Sunday night watching the interview between Meghan and Harry with Oprah Winfrey about what it was to conclude their relationship as royals in England. Now, I'm obviously not British, and I don't really follow the royals in England, but I was fascinated and saddened and sometimes outraged by that interview and listening to the trauma and the turmoil of their lives. They wanted to move on. They wanted to close a chapter. They wanted to be able to start a new chapter in their lives. And so many things unraveled, so much anger, so much discord, racism. It really sounded like trying to pull out, to start anew, to create a new life, to bring closure to one chapter, was impossible to do in England. They tried to do it in the Commonwealth, in Canada, and that was not successful. So they moved to the United States. So what do we see in that story? We see very close to the heart, people trying to bring closure to something, trying to show that there was an accomplishment and it's time for the next chapter, and how difficult it was. This week, not only are we reading Vayakhel Pekudey, we are also concluding the second book of the Torah, Shmot. When we conclude a book of the Torah, what do? We pause and we say, Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and then may we all be strengthened. My friend Eliezer Diamond noticed, who's talking here? Who are we saying should be strong? It's not the Torah. It's the Torah reader. It's the person who recited the blessings. It's the Torah reader who needs to find strength. So isn't that interesting? What's the accomplishment? The accomplishment is finished reading a book of the Torah. But who needs strength? The person who did the concluding, the person who read the Torah. What's the lesson there? The lesson there is that closure is important, but it's difficult. It's not easy. To conclude well is an important goal. So wherever we are in life, whatever we are doing, we should be fully cognizant that we should end well, and that it's not easy, and that we need strength to do that. We need to find the strength. And that's why when we conclude reading a book of the Torah, we say, Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. May we be strengthened as we conclude one part of our lives and we move on to the next. When we conclude a chapter, it is a blessing. Shabbat Shalom, friends. Shabbat Shalom.